All right, Ryan, keeping our fingers crossed for a successful day 4 too.
Yeah, something that we'll keep an eye on, but we'll have to watch out for those gustier winds aloft, courtesy of a backdoor front. Looking at Sandia Peak yesterday, ample sunshine was the big story. We saw those clouds off in the distance, and as the sun was setting, reflecting on the tops of the cumulus clouds, we saw the harvest full moon supermoon rising above the horizon, above the eastern horizon, and look how bright it was. When it was even under night vision, you could see the bright whites of this harvest moon supermoon. Because of that moon still out there this morning, we're relatively pretty light out there, but what we are seeing are low-level clouds in the Estancia Valley. That's courtesy of a backdoor front that has moved on in, producing more low-level moisture and even some thunderstorms in parts of eastern New Mexico, including places like Roswell. Glassy surfaces on the roadway conditions because of some rain. 90% humidity, 64 degrees. Winds mostly light, however, winds are stronger elsewhere. There are more storms moving through Union County near Des Moines and Clayton as well. Just to the southeast of Raton and to the northwest in the Raton Pass, some wet snow mixing on in. Showers moving away from Tucumcari. Again, some showers, rumbles of thunder near Roswell, as well as in parts of the Sacramento Mountains. And in parts of Lee County, some showers, maybe a rumble of thunder or two. Again, look at those wind gusts coming in at 20 miles per hour in Santa Rosa. That northeasterly flow bringing in that low-level moisture across our viewing area. Mostly light winds elsewhere for now, especially Moriarty, but that east gap wind picking up just a little bit at the Sunport occasionally. A 6-mile-per-hour sustained wind, substantially lighter though compared to a couple of hours ago. Mostly light winds around Balloon Fiesta Park, so that is certainly good news. But that drainage wind, meaning that cooler, more dense wind coming in from the northern and eastern mountains, may move on in later throughout the morning around 7 o'clock. This is the outlook. We'll have those northeasterly winds sustained anywhere between 5 close to 10 miles per hour. The higher up you go, around a few hundred feet, the stronger the winds. Then about 1,000 feet, winds more from the east and a little bit lighter, and then more from the east-southeast from 10 to 15 miles per hour from about 1,500 feet to close to 2,500 feet up. Above that, southwesterly winds, so a box effect is still possible throughout Balloon Fiesta this morning as it begins around 7 o'clock. 62 degrees right now in Albuquerque, 35 meanwhile in Gallup, 57, much warmer morning in Santa Fe. Meanwhile, 51 in Raton, 49 Las Vegas, 34 Alamosa, but 73 in Carlsbad. So there's that backdoor front along I-40, cool to the north, mild to the south, and chilly in Farmington, 45 degrees and mostly calm out there. Throughout the morning and the afternoon, we'll see a bit of a temperature divide. 50s, that's it in Raton and Clayton this afternoon. Meanwhile, lower 80s in Carlsbad, mid to upper 80s in Deming. So a taste of fall-like weather to the northeast and still very late summer-like weather to the southwest. Albuquerque kind of in between. I think we'll get close to 80 degrees this afternoon. But a flash flood watch is in effect for the Sacramento Mountains. Capitan Ruidoso. We'll have to keep an eye on those thunderstorms, which will start to train over the same areas. Kind of like a train moves over the same tracks, so those storms form over the same areas, potentially producing flooding with a slight risk of flash flooding, including Ruidoso, Roswell, the East Mountains of the San Dias near Albuquerque, and even into the eastern highlands. Something we'll keep an eye on. Turn around, don't drown, and seek higher ground. Those storms will pop up around lunchtime. They'll migrate very quickly to the northeast, but they'll reform over the same areas, especially northeast of Ruidoso. But they may be heavy enough to produce flooding around the burn scars. Albuquerque around 5, 6 o'clock. Look at those storms moving on through. Some hail, strong winds possible. Moving through Tucumcari, Roswell, and into even Clovis Portales. More storms will form this evening to the early overnight near Santa Fe, and more storms may form even tomorrow morning in between Albuquerque and Santa Fe. Gusty winds will also move on through parts of southeastern Mexico. So surrounding this high pressure system, a quasi-monsoon pattern will continue with more moisture forming. Quasi meaning not quite a monsoon, but very similar to a monsoon. Subtropical moisture meaning not purely tropical, because it'll be cool enough in the northern mountains for wet snow, but more rain showers and thunderstorms will form in western and central areas, layers throughout the week and into the early weekend. So Durango, temperatures warming up, then cooling down with more of that rainfall coming in by Friday into the weekend. And Pagosa Springs to the north and the high elevations, wet snow may mix on in. Farmington and Gallup in Cuba, temperatures in the mid to upper 70s and low 80s there in Chinle, but cooler after tomorrow. Glenwood, Alamogordo, and Deming, temperatures mostly in the high 70s and the 80s. High 80s in Deming, but cooler ahead up until Thursday and Friday. Will briefly warm back up. Cloudcroft, maybe not even reaching 60. Artesia and Clovis. Cooler weather because of that backdoor front moving on through from the northeast. And look at Clayton and Capilene. Low to mid 50s for high temperatures. Las Vegas and Mora on either side of the 60-degree mark. Briefly warmer and drier later this week before stronger winds and some moisture returns this weekend. Red River all the way to Santa Fe. Temperatures ranging from near 60 to the 70s. We can't rule out some stray showers and rumbles of thunder, as well as especially in the Sandias, Moriarty, Cedar Crest, Sandia Park. Many areas not even reaching 70 this afternoon from the north to south valley of Albuquerque. While it may be a little bit of a breezier morning at the surface, I still think more likely than not a green flag. We may get a yellow flag initially, but we'll likely, I think, get that green flag. 80 degrees this afternoon, 76 tomorrow. Mostly green flag mornings for Balloon Fiesta, but more thunderstorms are more likely in the afternoons this weekend.
All right, we love to hear mostly green flags. That's great news.
We're hoping for that, for sure.
All right, thanks, Ryan.